Over to you.
Hello there, we've been waiting for you.
Hello?
Hello, Jughead, this is Archie. Come over right away. It's a matter of life or death.
Oh, relax, Archie.
Attention, all true believers. Marvel Comics is on the air.
A friend of the unfortunate, enemy of criminals. In reality, Dan Garrett, a rookie patrolman, loved by everyone but suspected by none of being the Blue Beetle.
Boys and girls, your attention, please. Presenting a new exciting radio program featuring the thrilling adventures of an amazing and incredible personality. Faster than an airplane, more powerful than a locomotive, impervious to bullets.
Up in the sky, look!
It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman!
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
How you doing? It's a party up in this house. We got all of us. Oh, it's so funny because it looks like your name is now Shanice and Miss Jen.
It just combined them and just put them right next to each other when you did it the other way. Like it didn't spread the title out across.
It didn't.
But the thing we were talking about before the show started, that's something that can be corrected. You know, if we know we're doing this like this, you know. Anyway.
Oh no, you can't yell that, Mr. Nope. It has to be shh, yell Hydra.
Well, I think he's making fun of the Hydrasylum.
Oh, I gotcha.
I think he's giving Jay a hard time.
Wait, is that where it came from?
Uh-huh.
I had
so
that moment.
It's a completely organic thing that happened. They just started saying Hail Hydra during Hydrasylum. So whenever they see me on something, they say Hail Hydra.
Oh, that's awesome. Very cool. Gotta see Kyle's hat. What is on your hat, Kyle? It gets blown out by the lights. What's up, the internet? Yes!
Available now on the EXP merch store.
Oh, that's awesome. Welcome in, everybody. I see Eddie. Eddie was on before we even popped the show up. I could see him starting to comment. Mr. Nope's on. Thanks, everybody, for being on. Please remember to share if you can. See if we can get some more friends in here to talk about cool new comics that are coming out. And boy, howdy, is it a big week for release. Dude.
Mm-hmm. No, I
had to fight over stuff a little bit.
Well, I read 8 books and Shanice read 1, and thank God she did because I don't actually want to talk about that book. So it works out all right.
Oh, jeez.
So, well, no, there's a book that I clearly couldn't appreciate, like that certain people would totally be into that I'm reading going, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Why are all these characters so happy? I don't get it. I don't get it. There's too many colors. I don't get it. I don't get it. Where's the blood? That was a My Little Pony book. Like,
I know you were just crushed that I could read DC Sonic the Hedgehog and you could not.
I was good. I actually, the books I read this week, with the exception of one, were fantastic. And the one I read, I didn't get. The one that I was going to complain about, I don't have to talk about. Shanice is going to talk about it, so it's great.
You guys want to know the truth? Like, Shanice is quiet, but that means she's the smart one, right?
No, I'm just taking it all in. Just waiting until I talk about My Little Pony. Or just a book of the week from me.
Oh, no.
No, it might be, but I'm going, I don't get, like, again, I read 7 or 8 books that, like, in 5 of them featured zombies or massive amounts of gore. and a My Little Pony book. Like, one of these things is not like the other.
Do you guys want to see my comic book injury? Can you guys see my big bruise? I had a full short box, one of those hard BCW ones, full of comic books, fly from the back seat of the car toward the front of the car when I stopped suddenly. I did not think that they would move at all because they're all locked into each other. So I blocked it with my arm and I paid the price. But it did save the screen that, was my backup camera.
All right, should we get into it? Because we got a lot of books.
Let's do it.
All right. Boom.
Okay, so you guys remember that a few weeks ago, maybe as much as a month ago, I feel like it's been forever since this book came out and then came out again. I did a review for this book, but it was the second print because it had been a whole year since the actual first print of this book had come out. They've been taking their time on it, but in this case, it was worth the wait because this is a really thick Black Label book. It is the big size, the magazine size that is the original Black Label size for books. I'll just kind of like fill you guys in for stuff that happened before. So this is a really cool look at an interaction between Lex and early life together Clark Kent. So there is something that happens in the first issue which creates a rift. Lex never knows that Clark Kent is Superman, of course, during this time. But Superman is filled with guilt because of that. He believes that Lex took the path that he did, right? Because Lex was hell-bent on creating a portal to try to prove that there was other life elsewhere. So he could so something else would be able to appreciate his brilliance, I guess. When all along, Clark could have just shown that I am an alien. See, I can prove that for you. Now you can stop doing this nonsense. That's real dangerous. So this one, and it goes back and forth in time between the time of them together in Smallville as schoolmates and as, they are now, which is like Superman and Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor has been, he's been doing all the really non-trustworthy bad things, but Supes keeps on giving him second chances. And remember in the first book, Lex uses this against him and says, hey, I want to tell you something. I'm dying. And I can't stop it, even with all my smartness. But I know that if I ask you for help, you will help me, despite the fact that we're mortal enemies, basically, right? So this goes past that. You actually get to see more of that kind of like, here we are back in the past, but also what's happening now is Superman's taking him all over the universe, basically, through time and space to try to find somebody that will actually help Lex, even though they're like, man, what are you doing? Including taking Lex to his Fortress of Solitude, which, I don't know, that might not have been a really good idea because things could happen. It's access to things when he's there. So it's so great. It's really, really, really good. And I don't know how many issues this is supposed to be, but I hope they don't make us wait a whole year between this one and the next one. I can't handle it. 3? Okay. As long as they, a month or so from now, that we actually get this next chapter, I will be very happy. So great art, great storytelling. It was worth the wait for me.
I just had a realization.
Uh-oh.
One of these things is not like the other from Sesame Street is the same song as If You Like to Talk to Tomatoes from the VeggieTales.
Please don't ruin that.
That's messed up.
Same song. Anyway, out of Alcatraz, Christopher Cantwell, Tyler Crook. You talk about one of the greatest unsolved mysteries and prison breaks in American history is the dudes who broke out of Alcatraz, and this is their story. Now, again, nobody knows the story, so basically, Chris Cantwell picks up from where the Mythbusters left off with, it is technically possible to have gotten across the water. It would have been tough, but then he picks up from there. And what it seems, the premise of the book is that the two guys who they believe survived had an accomplice on the outside, right, that was helping them to disappear. And this is the story of how they interact with that accomplice. And how a dude who's been in prison since he was 13 behaves on the outside, and how people at this time maybe would treat those folks that maybe weren't so socially adept, right? Again, if you've been in prison since you were 13, you maybe don't act like other people do, and that makes you weird. And certain, and then again, there's some shoot 'em ups, there's some beat 'em ups, there's some language that's a little bit testy. And then at the same time, there's like these two dudes are just trying to survive escaping prison. So that's part of it. What I will say for issue 1 is, as excited as I am for this book, issue 1 was a little bit of a letdown. Only in as much as all it did was sort of paint with a broad brush the world we're in and our character's place in it, rather than make me actually care about the characters. I don't give a crap about either dude who broke out of prison or their accomplice. You haven't made me care yet. But I understand that exposition is needed. I just wish it would have, instead of starting with where Mythbusters left off, it would have started a little bit after that, right? Like, I don't need to see them trying to paddle across the bay. I know they did. So just start from there, right? And move forward, because then maybe you give me a little bit more of who these people are. But as it is it's just good exposition. So I'd be interested to see what happens in number 2. Is there more shooting them ups? Is there more beating them ups? Is there more Canada? Because there's talk of Canada. So we'll see.
Sharks in the water.
To answer Ed, no Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman vibes. Yeah, but only like in the first 10 minutes of Shawshank and not at the end of Shawshank. They're not like it's Sewatenejo or whatever that place is called, like where they're best buddies. It's like early Shawshank where they don't really quite like each other.
Okay. Absolute Batman number 6. When last we saw what was going on in the city and with Bruce, you have the party animals, which are being led by the Black Mask, creating havoc, and he's kind of like brought it to a head by sending out or dropping masks all over the city. And the mask, once you put it on, has like kind of an interface like if you're Iron Man, where you can actually see things on the screen. And it basically gives everybody a point value. So basically saying to anybody, they can all be party animals. You put it on and it says, the mayor's worth $1 million. Go kill him. Do a robbery. It's worth 10,000. Right? So at the beginning of this issue, it is literally everyone running around trying to claim a mask because they're like, if everyone else is going to get paid, I might as well get paid too. Lots of bits in this involving, you have both Jim Gordon and trying to figure out, I can't remember who the daughter's name is. Oh, Barbara? I don't think so. It's somebody else. Anyway, sorry. You guys will know when you read the book. But that is all like it seems like it's an impossible thing to overcome. You do still see a little bit of interaction between Alfred as he is trying to, fly away on an airplane. He's got a weird interaction, right? He really is just an agent that's been at the beginning of the series was tasked with killing Batman, and he was like, nope, let's see what he does first. And now that he sees what he's doing, he's like, all right, well, I don't really want to do what you're saying, so I'm going to keep on being, missed him again. If you like seeing Batman in his every single issue, there's a new way he has ways to use parts of his costume to like stab people, or like last issue we got to see his little like points come out jabbing people, which is super cool. You'll get another one of those, so they're going to continue on with those hits, which makes me really happy. What else can I tell you? Lots of big action, and as promised, just like last issue, at the very end, they gave you a little snippet of Absolute Joker. You get that again, but Absolute Joker in that part of the book actually mentions another character that's part of the normal Batman universe is probably going to show up next for the Absolute universe. So, and whoo, baby, I don't want to see what that character is like in this universe, because as ramped up as Bruce is with his ultra violence, I can't even imagine what this other guy's going to do. So, super cool. We both read this. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Shanice.
Okay, so LA Strong. So I'm sure if you've been following social media or just various comic book sites, Mad Cave, they're doing a charity comic to help benefit those who are affected by the LA fires earlier this year. And talking to Jen earlier before the show started, there were some stories in here that got me a little emotional reading this. One in particular, it was about a high school that they weren't actually like evacuated until like an hour into like their school, like until like their school day started, and they were there for like hours to contacting parents to pick up their kids, and then at the end of the day, there were still unfortunately some kids whose parents weren't able to, just due to safety reasons or for other reasons, and it genuinely is like. I mean, like, you know, like, this is a natural disaster that's still, you know, affecting people today, even though the fires are basically done now. But it genuinely is like, there are some point of views that you don't really think about. I know everyone's like, oh, well, California is filled with rich people, celebrities, millionaires, but it's like, there's still working class, marginalized groups there too, y'all. And this book does a really good job, you know, showcasing point of views that people may have forgotten about. Mm-hmm. Brian Azzarello, in the foreword, he said that the line about was it empathy, and it's a muscle, and how you have to keep working it, and you don't ever want it to what's the word?
Atrophy. Yeah.
And you just, you know, you have to look out for each other. That's something that me, Jen, and our producer Jay, we went through Hurricane Harvey. And you see just how people, you know, looked out for each other. And genuinely do hope that of all the books that you guys pick up this week, please pick this up at your local comic store and follow the creators, support them, because they're still hurting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that lead in forward is like probably some of the most beautifully written, just single page, trying to get you in the mood for what the book is about, because interspersed with talking about empathy and fires and those kinds of things, he leads out with it's snowing in Florida, and that's a theme that goes down through his dialogue so good, just like hits you in the feels big time. But there's some gorgeous art in here. Most of the stuff that's in here is single page or double page, but there's a couple 4-page stories that are in here that are really great. Just support this book and Mad Cave for, I mean, they're giving up all their proceeds to make sure that this money goes to people that need it. So, oh, daggum. One World Under Doom. Okay, there's been a lot of books that have been touching this storyline, and I know it's been overwhelming for you guys, but I will tell you, just ignore all that other stuff. If you can't afford to buy those things, it's not a big deal. Following this main storyline is really so good because it's very, very timely. And it makes you think really deeply, because Doom is approaching world conquest in a way that's very scary if the person who's doing it has bad thoughts about what they're doing at the end, right? This could be, if Doom is really being altruistic and this is really all he wants, then this is awesome. I'd be under Doom if this is the way it was. It was straightforward. But Doom is really like offering universal health care for free, offering everybody school, like access to regular schools with no agenda, just regularly good schooling for all. And he's basically only saying that like they all have to identify as being Latvian and under him as a ruler. But other than that, keep going on about your lives. Cross borders. And he says in this book, cross borders as much as you want. Borders are gone. Who cares about those things? So it's kind of like really, like I get him, but also I don't know if I trust him. And definitely the Fantastic Four don't trust him. And there's some big time story notes in here where Doom brings up to Reed the fact that Reed is supposed to be the smartest person, and for some reason still has never been able to heal his best friend Bengra. And to that effect, something really big happens in this book that you shouldn't miss. Really cool. I don't know where this is going, but I know that Doom is doing kind of like scary things, like giving people weaponry that they choose to pick up that Reed, the Fantastic Four, can't do anything against the people because then they're hurting innocent people. And it's so difficult. It's like, you know that it's not great. Doom is never really going to be great, but man, if he was really great, how cool could it be? I don't know. Great. Yeah, the road to heck is paved with good intentions. It's like absolute power corrupts absolutely. We know this. But, this possibility is like, all right, but I don't think it's going to work out. I just don't know who's going to stand up to him and everybody else that's, kind of coming on board to his plan.
Dan Panosian is doing his best work right now.
Yes,
I think in his career. This is Peter Pan, but I'm gonna be honest with you, and I'm just gonna be frank. Peter Pan's kind of an asshole.
I think he's supposed to be, isn't he?
But like, without making an overtly political statement, Peter Pan is the president of the United States, and Captain Hook and the natives in Neverland are the rest of the world. Yeah, that was an overtly political statement. But that is this book. Like, Peter Pan does not get it. Hey, we figured it out in Neverland, bro. You can just stay gone. Like, bye. And he's like, no, I'm going to avenge you, and I'm going to make things better. But you're actually making it worse. Like, bro, you missed the point. And the problem is, it's Tinkerbell's fault. Tinkerbell been lying to Peter.
Never trust a fairy.
Yeah, but like, again, if you've got somebody wrapped around your little finger, like, it's pretty easy. But then that is very much in the way Dan's Alice books have been, part Neverland or Wonderland, part real world. This is the same thing here. The Peter Pan stories are being told by Wendy. And Wendy's like an aspiring novelist whose parents don't want her to be. So, or who has family obligations that she's maybe not living up to in favor of telling these stories. So it's an interesting look at the Peter Pan mythos, but it's also an interesting look at the actuality of the people who are telling the Peter Pan story. So again, I think this is some of Dan Panosian's best work ever. I'll be interested to see where issue number 1 goes, issue number 2 goes, because issue number 1 ends. And I'm gonna be real honest with you. There's a character that I love from the Peter Pan cartoon movies that shows up for one panel, and I need like 75 more panels.
Is it TikTok?
No, he greener than that.
It's terrible. Well, that's part of the shtick about this book is that Peter hasn't aged, but all of Neverland has.
Right. All of Neverland has grown up and changed, and Peter hasn't, and Peter don't get it. So, again, also, I really like this one. If you liked Alice Ever After, Alice Never After from Dan Panosian, his allegories of Alice in Wonderland versus the opioid epidemic, check out this one. because I think the allegory that he's going to tell here is going to be just as interesting.
By the way, that Tiger Lily art is just the best.
Mm-hmm.
So Zatanna, when this book was announced, I was so excited because Jamal Campbell is just tremendously talented, and the fact that they're doing like double duty, writing and doing the art, is nothing short of amazing. So the series, like, it starts off pretty wild. If you read issue 1, you know what I'm referring to, and this continues into issue 2. She really goes through the ringer in this issue, and it's like, she's an extremely powerful character, and just seeing her kind of get, I don't want to say like she gets like nerfed or anything like that, but she's definitely going to try to like. That's correct. Is I'm trying to be careful about how I explain what's happening in the book, but she starts out in what's the word, distress, and she has her friends who want to like, who are helping her, want to make sure like she's okay, but she's got to do the whole like, I don't want anyone to get hurt, and you see why in this book, why she's like going this route. But yeah, honestly, if you are a Zatanna fan, definitely check this out. If you're not, you should check this out still, because she's an awesome character who I'm very happy that DC finally remembers exists. So they're actually doing more of her, and hopefully this leads to an ongoing series with her and other magical users in the DC universe.
That'd be cool. And
the last page does have a character show up that I had to put my book down and almost walk around the restaurant a little bit. Kind of like in a good pacing way. It's like, yes, this person's here.
There we go.
The scariest book of the week.
Yeah, this one didn't have enough blood for me. I'm out.
So it's funny because I actually thought this book was kind of dark for a My Little Pony book. I was like, this is a pretty intense storyline, and involves dog napping, and it's like, and I'm just, my only knowledge when it comes to My Little Pony, I do have a friend or two that's into the series, so anything My Little Pony that I know is through conversations with them. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. Like, it's a New Year's Eve book that came out in March.
Sure.
And so it's a new generation as well. Okay, thank you for saying that, because I was like, okay, I know ponies, but like this group, I had no idea who they were. But it was a pretty interesting book. It's about like how long the pony zip. They're the, I guess, like the mystery until one of his real thing. That'd be a fun crossover thing, My Little Pony. But yeah, it's about how like one of the ponies, like, I guess they had this habit of like getting into people's business like a little bit too much.
Busybodies.
And this causes a big issue at this New Year's Eve ceremony. So their New Year's Eve resolution is to like, okay, I'm gonna stop investigating and being a private detective. But of course, that doesn't last long. But it's a really funny one shot. Like I said, like one of the main storylines, I guess, in this book, well, I was a little bit surprised at how like kind of dark it got. It's like, oh, this has kidnapping or dog napping, I guess. Nothing worse than pony gossip.
Nothing worse than pony gossip.
And that's something I had to get used to too, like the use of the word like a hoof, like just because they don't have hands. I'm like, okay, ponies, I guess.
That's true.
Yeah, but it's a cute book. I know it doesn't have any blood, which is disappointing compared to the other books, but every pony. Yeah, I thought that was sweet too. All the grabbing at the horse trap.
I think there's some bronies in this group.
Okay.
Lucky Kyle.
Mouse Guard, Dawn of the Black Axe. I'm going to do a really fast review on this because we've got more books than we've got time. So here's the deal. If you've read Mouse Guard, buy the book. If you've never read Mouse Guard, buy the book. If you don't like mice, I guess see your therapist and then buy this book. This was a super fun Mouse Guard story. It is as beautiful as it ever was. And this is a great place to jump in on Mouse Guard. It's been one of those series that's been around forever. Archaea has always done a great job with it. So, like, you just kind of, you know what you're getting when you see Mouse Guard. If you've never read Mouse Guard, again, this is a great place to jump in because you don't need the, 15 years of mythos now that Mouse Guard has built up in the main series.
Mm-hmm.
But having that isn't going to hurt you. Right? So again, this is a great place to jump in. And again, if you're scared of like mice as knights and kings and queens and sorcerers, and basically it's an entire mice medieval times, like, I don't know what's wrong with you, but maybe some professional help will help. But get over that and then buy this book because this book was super fun.
Really and truly, you can pick up any Mouse Guard book and read it.
Mm-hmm.
They're written that way, so you can just jump in. All right, Flash, go.
We both read this one.
Yeah, go.
Nope. So
They already heard me talk.
It's Absolute Flash. I'm just gonna start off by saying I think out of all the absolute absolute redesigns, I think this one is my favorite. It just looks so cool, and all the covers that will be out tomorrow, like just the look of this Flash is super awesome. Jen and I talked about it, and it's a really good reimagining of the character. I also liked the whole military brat I guess backstory because Army brat here, and I really liked it. I liked how certain people looked in this book.
Yeah, I know. There's some stuff you just can't say.
Yeah, because man, just the artwork in this issue is just phenomenal, and I'm excited to see it. See it in like, I guess, like a more like in later issues. But what was your favorite thing about it?
I don't know. I like it. It's told in a kind of like a non-linear way where it like jumps back and forth between. You see Wally like freaking out using his power, but it almost seems like it's attached to. He describes it almost to the point like he can feel it coming on. Mm-hmm. It's like an emotional thing instead of like, I'm going to use the Speed Force. They never mention the Speed Force one time. This is all the affect of something that happens as a result of something that someone's working on at the Army base, not his dad. We'll just say that.
Someone you'll be very happy to see.
Yeah.
Now I'm interested. I wasn't interested in Absolute Flash before, but now I am.
Yeah. All right. I read this one just because I wanted to see what was happening, because in the beginning of the storyline for this, it was like the last Deadpool issue where Deadpool and his daughter are trying to figure out how in the world they're going to make ends meet, because he was been dead, came back. His daughter made a deal in hell to bring him back that she's going to have to repay at some point, and so to make money, he agrees to take a hit that he would normally not take, and that's to kill Miles Morales, which is dumb because Miles Morales is a vampire and cannot be killed. But also, when he makes the hit, he accidentally tries to kill the wrong Spider-Man. He tries to hit, who's the one that can he like changes shape? He's the big guy. Dadgummit. I totally had his name until I started talking about him. Grr. Anyway, you know him. He's the one that kind of he like make multiple arms. Kind of seems like, I don't want to call him dumb. He just seems his way he talks is a little more slow. But anyway, that's the guy who tried to make the hit again. So that made him pissed off. So this is literally them trying to figure out, now we've got some other outside force, new bads that are trying to attack. And so they've had to form like all three of them. Miles, well, four, I guess. Miles, Deadpool's daughter, and this other character that is it's like another clone of Miles, and I can never remember his name. So this is their ongoing story. This is part, I think, 4 of Pools of Blood, which is very clever Deadpool name changing to make a story title.
Okay. This is an interesting book. This is the Poseidon adventure if instead of the ship sinking, you were already a mile underwater.
Ooh.
Right. This book takes place on a submarine. That was the word I couldn't think of. I almost said dirigible, but I'm like, no, that's the wrong direction. Submarine. And the main character is the ship's engineer, who's the person who's responsible for like keeping it afloat. And like, they're super like, I'll be honest, I related to him real hard, and Miss Jen will understand why. They're the person who's constantly harping on, this is not a joking matter. This is super serious. We have procedures, we have rules, we have things that we have to do. And then people choose to take that lightly. And sometimes it's deserved. Like, again, they spray her with a squirt gun and make her think that that there's a leak when it's actually just her birthday and they're messing with her. But because they take it lightly, they don't see when the ship starts to sink. And so that is kind of the world. But there's also something special about our engineer that is really what this book is about. Everything I've told you up to now is slightly spoilery, but it doesn't matter. Like, because it's when you find out what's special about this character that takes this book from, okay, it's a sinking ship story. It's how's everybody gonna survive to, oh, I didn't understand what I was reading. So again, I think it's that mid-issue twist in issue 1 is so important sometimes in an issue 1. I wouldn't say that, Jay.
She's a fish person.
But she's not a fish person. You don't know for sure if she is or isn't, or if this is a factor of the situation that has caused her to be in her situation.
Oh, okay.
KG Kyle is KG here because I don't want to spoil anything. But just know you're not 100% sure. Is she a fish person or is she a mutant? Or is she someone who is like adaptable to the circumstance? So that's what makes this book interesting to me. Issue 2 will be a wild ride. I'll just say that. And by the way, shout out to Keith Davidson at Mad Cave. Some of these books didn't get uploaded to the server, so I had to email him or text him, and he just sent me a whole bunch of stuff. So shout out to that guy for giving me books to read. But yeah, no, this book is killer. And I'll be honest, if they took Aquaman this direction, I might care about Aquaman again.
Triple B! You chose wisely. Always choose fam.
Harper play went well. Hello.
All right, DC, Sonic the Hedgehog. Just like all these weird, crazy crossovers they've been doing recently that I'm just like, why? And then I read them and I'm like, oh, this is kind of dope. This follows under that same category where they somehow find a way to do a storytelling that makes sense for them to be together, but also introduces all the characters in case you maybe didn't know anything about the DC characters if you're a Sonic person. Or if you're not a Sonic person, but a DC person, they introduce all the Sonic characters in ways that it makes it feel, okay, well, this is a natural progression. So there is someone, a big bad from, I will tell you, from the DC universe, but not the way you're used to seeing them, who is trying to take things that we normally see in the Sonic universe, i.e. diamonds, gems, to use to conquer everything. So they're trying to figure each other out. I think the most fun part of this book for me was the fact that Sonic and the Flash are always racing against each other. I don't know if they're doing any good for the overarching storyline, but they're definitely doing this Superman versus Flash racing thing very seriously everywhere they go. So there you go.
Oh man. So I actually read, gosh, which one is it? 613, I think was when it came out today.
Yeah, they've been putting out slowly all of the Hush storyline as facsimile. So 613 comes out today, but it seemed weird to jump in there and tell you guys about it.
That's fair. So this is the Hush storyline. I'm fairly certain, if you're a Batman fan, that you've read Hush, but if you haven't, please read it as soon as possible because Hush Part 2 will be coming out fairly soon. But reading the facsimiles, it's so fun just seeing like all the old ads and seeing an ad for like Knights of the Old Republic, and it's like, oh man, like you guys are about to experience something you've never experienced before. But yeah, like it still holds up. It was one of the first Batman comics I ever read, and this was the first Jim Lee art I actually got the experience as a comic book fan, and it's such a fun story. Like it's like a summer blockbuster, but Batman, and you're just trying to figure out who is behind all this. But I'm not sure if Hush's identity has gone to like I don't know, like Shyamalan levels where like everybody knows who it is now. But
I have on purpose never found out.
Oh, you ever read?
No. I was gonna wait. I was gonna wait until like the night before Hush releases and read it. I have basic knowledge, but I wanted to experience. I want to have an experience with this storyline. So that's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
You guys can be like me, go in blind.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to tell you up front that I'm going to do real quick reviews of these cool Red 5 books. Because of the Diamond, we're like in the last couple of days before the stocking horse bids close for Diamond. We don't know where these books are going to be released, but we do know that Red 5 has them in hand. So if you really like these books, maybe you can try to like message them and get them direct. I'm not sure, but they gave these to me by hand at the show I was at this weekend. So they're known for having a very diverse slate. So they're not all horror, they're not all action, they're not all anything. They just pick really great stuff and they don't release a ton. So it's all gives you like breathing room for enjoying their stuff. So this one's called All Hitlers Must Die, Sun Chasers. So in this one shot, the premise is that in the late days of the war, Hitler sired a son, and Ava ran away and did not die. And so that son was actually born. So the Sun Chasers' entire purpose as an organization is to find, I think it's Henry or Harry Hitler, and kill him. There's a big twist in here because they presuppose that he's going to be the most evil guy ever. But I don't know. Are maybe the Sun Chasers the bad guys in this because they are just assuming because he's related to somebody that he's super evil. There's a lot of blood in this and a ton of fighting. And of course, swords, because that's the way you're going to fight, of course. And I liked this book. It's a very different art style. And at the end, it has a little short story that introduces Doc Odyssey, which I'm not sure if that's going to be its own title. But this one's really fun.
Dick Tracy continues. It's kind of my review of this book. In and as much as this book doesn't really do anything, which is the first time I've been disappointed by Alex Segura, Dick Tracy so far. We keep on the storyline we've been on. It does move the story forward, but it doesn't. Nothing really gets achieved. So it's just more of the same, which isn't a bad thing, right? Like this book has been nonstop thrill ride. Every issue has some sort of big twist or turn, and this book just kind of gives you a breath. But knowing what I know, I say all that and recognize that there were probably details in this story that will be relevant, or in this issue that will be relevant in the next issue, but there's nothing here to let you know they're relevant. You know, it isn't like saying, hey, over here, pay attention to this panel. You're going to need to know about it later, but you do. So while this book feels like kind of a flat line of Dick Tracy, it probably isn't, but it's going to feel that way. So if you're reading Dick Tracy, don't let issue 8 scare you off, because issue 9 will make issue 8 great.
Okay. Also from Red 5, this kind of all the books that I read from them, this is most like my jam. For people that like kind of like quiet science fiction-y kind of stories, like Rain Like Hammers, or I'm trying to think of any other ones that are kind of like this. So it's Something Beyond the Petrichor. It's a story about this girl who, there's no other people in this storyline. They may or may not have all been killed by the advent of acid rain. She just happened to have had, her dad had covered their house at some point with a bunch of plastic because they were going to do, I don't know, maybe they're like fumigating for something, or I don't remember what the purpose. Oh, they were covering because there were some leaks in the house. That's right. They didn't have enough money to get it fixed yet. For some reason, he covered the entire house with plastic. And that's the only thing that kept acid rain from killing people. So this is her by herself in this wasteland where everything else has been like burned away by the acid. So it's just like dirt. And she's got it down to a science, like being outside. She just have to be under plastic. Before the rain hits, you can kind of see it like a dust storm coming. The weird twist about this book is that that little plush turtle talks to her. So she may not all be 100% okay in the head. And there's something in the rain that is alive. And it looks really cool. But you don't get to see it 100% in this book. So I love it because it's just like very in your head. Man, this could really happen. But no, not really. I mean, her weapon is she puts acid rain in a plastic shoot 'em up gun for like when you were a kid. Because that will destroy anything. But since it's plastic, it doesn't eat it. And she can get infinite amounts of it as a weapon. Very ingenious. And the artist's style is all this kind of pastels.
Interesting.
Such a big pause.
Yeah, I may need Jay to go and come back to me on this one.
Are you trying to remember?
No.
Welcome to my age.
Not at all. I'm trying not to cry. There are days where I forget why I love comic books. Right? I spend so much of my time focused on the business of comic books and the industry of comics and the pop culture world that we live in, and how do we make more money, and how do retailers make more money, and how does this whole industry interact, that it becomes very easy to forget that we love comics because they tell stories that speak to us. This book made me weep.
Oh.
If you're an artist of any kind, musician, drawer, writer, sculptor, whatever, this book is an absolute garbage disposal for your soul. Spectrum, since issue 1, has been this sort of big, overwhelming story about what is, in this book, music, but what is art and what is its role in society, and what is its place, and how there are people out here who are trying to make the most beautiful art they can imagine, and there are people out here who want none of it. Right? And in this book, it's the noise and the silence. And as we move through this book, we realize that they're two sides of the same coin. But what if they weren't? What if there were more sides to the coin? And what if noise and silence were the same side, just different faces? And there's a part in this book where, they start talking about synesthesia. And like early in the show, I pointed out that two songs that are pretty well known are the same song. That's how my brain works, right? If I hear a tune, I know what tune it also is pretty quickly. And synesthesia is this thing where certain people, it's common in autism spectrum disorder, see letters in different colors or see math. You know, when they look at a math problem, they see it in different colors and it helps them to break it down faster. Or they smell things, like when they read a book, they smell different words, you know, and it's a way your brain is wired. That's not unlike the way my brain is wired. I can go and listen to white noise and hear, have absolute clarity. And I can taste and see music. And this book is about what happens when you realize that you're not tasting it, or you're not hearing the art around you. You're not seeing it. And it was really heavy for me. And then Dave Chisholm, the artist, who we connected over jazz, he's a great jazz musician, sent me the soundtrack to this book. It's one song, it's 3.5 minutes. I listened to it 6 times while I read this book for the 3rd time. That's how many times I read this book today. And it took on a whole different meaning, where it's really about understanding that beauty can come from anywhere, even when it's not beautiful. You just have to look for it. And you have to see it and you have to hear it. And so, again, this book was super heavy for me because Miss Jen knows a little bit about this, and I'm just going to share because I feel like sharing. I've been having some mental health struggles of late, and I haven't been hearing the music, and I haven't been seeing the art. And this book reminded me how important that is. So, again, it was an absolute garbage trash compactor for my soul, man. It made me feel all kind of way, and I'm so happy because it reminded me why I love comics.
Thanks for sharing your soul, man. This is not that book. Doesn't have any of those wonderful things, but it does have some really awesome action.
Anthropomorphized talking animals. What do you mean it doesn't have wonderful things?
Actually, it's not. That's actually a helmet that she's wearing. So this is Snow Monkey. This is about a girl who is wearing an ancient helmet that when she puts it on, allows her to experience all of those people that wore it before her as warriors. It doesn't give her it's not one of those things like, oh, I have the power of them. She just knows all the stuff that they knew, so she can use it when she's doing stuff. The problem is that she's also the daughter of a not great person. So she finds herself at a weird odds in which she may be fighting for something that her dad found out, because she's like I think a college age kid, could actually, put them at big time bad odds at each other. I have access to number 2 for this book, but I wasn't going to read it to get too far ahead. If all goes well, free comic book day, you'll be able to see little snippets of Snow Monkey, one of the other ones that I think might be the Petrichor one, and then one other book. So you guys can get into all of these books.
All right. Well, that is all the books for this week. Thank you for everybody for being here. If you don't know where there's a comic shop nearby to you, head over to comicshoplocator.com and type in the numbers of the area where you are, and it will tell you where there's a comic shop nearby to you. Give them a call. Make sure their hours are right. Make sure they're open. Make sure they have their shipments. All of that kind of stuff. But go into your local comic shop and spend $5 extra. The world is a scary place right now, and it's hard. It's hard for small businesses to keep going sometimes. $5 extra is the difference between, hey, I can afford hamburger, or oh, hey, I have to buy top ramen for some shops.
Hey, $5 is ducats. We love it.
Right. That's what I'm saying. You can buy $5 chicken nuggets and eat good. So, like I said, head in your local comic shop, pick up a book. And if you saw something today that you picked up that you weren't planning on, reach out and let us know. My email is pretty easy to find. Shoot us a message through the website. Comment after the show. Comment on this video after the show. Let us know you bought something that maybe you weren't planning on buying. It's always nice. So we will poop. All right, I see you. So next week we will be back with more books. Hopefully I will be less emotional, but we'll see what happens. And Miss Jen and Shanice will be back as well with their slate of books. Stay tuned. Welcome to Wonderland is next. Then Kicking It with Henri. Henri may have a special guest who's very French. I don't know if he's coming on or not. But we will see. Tomorrow, Comic Collectibles and Kyle and Jay's Q&A. We're going to talk about cringy Kickstarters. Cringy crowdfunding. And then Thursday, Miss Jen will be back with What's in the Box. We'll have the Geek Chat and Sketch Up with Mel and Mog. So we will see everybody next time.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.